Good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. Hope we meet you well. There's a reason for a lot of us to smile, most Nigerians, and talking about the National Association of Resident Doctors. They've been at it, they've been striking, but there's some sort of a truce, compromise has been reached, and it has been decided, I understand, in a democratic way. They took a vote on it and have decided that the time has come to resume work. Okay, to help us look at it, naturally, most people will be happy, but maybe to explain what some are even now referring to as is it political aspects to it? Because the management has changed. The officers of the association, they've been changed around. But to help us look at it, we got Dr. Tuyi. I'm always putting an N in there. It's not in there. Dr. Tuyi Mebawoudu.
Thank you very much, Good morning.
For coming on.
Nice, yes.
Normally, we talk about public health, but that's often, you still are a doctor, as all the people who speak with us on these matters are, and no doubt you must have also had your concerns. First of all, they're your tribe, the medical professionals, and
my community.
Yeah, especially, yes, your community. So you weren't going to come out and say at any time that they were in the wrong, or for that matter that they were in the right. You sort of just said, look, it's the younger doctors, they're doing their thing, but I understand that it's the NMA, the Nigerian Medical Association, that led the doctors, as it were, in this. Tell us about, help us understand this a bit and the role the NMA played.
What happened essentially is that doctors, by the structure of our callings, are not supposed to go on strike.
Mm-hmm.
But the only arm of doctors that can go on strike mainly is the Nigeria National Association of Resident Doctors. It's actually the arms that tend to push for ideas and ideologies within the health system. Now, if you look at the evolution of this strike, okay, it has been, about 140 days of a memorandum of action signed as far back as last year by the government, and they were planning to implement, and nothing was happening. To the extent that the doctor said, listen, we're going to do a warning strike, or tell the government. They did the warning strike, and then the government says, seems to be quiet, and then they had to go on full-blown strike since August 2nd. While the strike was ongoing, the first reaction of the federal government was to be recalcitrant and felt that, who the heck are you? Why should you go on strike anyway? Along the line, negotiation refused to resume because of the stand of the federal government. Along the line, it became an issue of cuts. It became an issue of stoppage of salaries, and a lot of the things got messed up. Of course, obviously, there's a huge challenge with labor issue management, as far as that is concerned. Along the line, election came up. After the election, the first statement by the new ESCO was to say that, listen, we're pressing on with the strike. We're pressing on with the strike because all the issues raised, because for the strike, none of them has been addressed. That we're going to press on with the strike, and they sought understanding. 4 days later, they were led by the chairman of NME to meet with the Minister of Labor and Employment, and there, by that fiat, they said they had an agreement signed. The NMA chairman, Professor Uja, was now speaking on their behalf. I've not heard a single statement from even the newly elected president of National Association of Resident Doctors. Professor Uja was speaking on their behalf. Lo and behold, then it was the time of Ngige to speak. Yes, how can they give me recognition in so months, and then they are now going on strike? It's not a personalized thing. The greatest concern and challenge is this, because if you look at the election processes, 56 said yes, and 28 said we are not going to. Yeah. So you see that 1/3, 30% of the National Association of Resident Doctors are not happy with the direction of the direction of the association as it is now. That's why you see the rejection. Of course, the majority carries the vote, and the majority said, okay, let's call off the strike. Now the question is, they haven't called off the strike. What have you now achieved, or what are you going to achieve? Well, it opens another opportunity for serious discussion, okay, between government, stakeholder, National Union of Resident Doctors, and even the consumer of health to critically look at what could be possible within the health space. But what gets me worried is that there's a lot of politics now being introduced into the medical, into such profession. Because what happened when you introduce that, tendencies, interests will smear the core functions of the medical profession, and the fact that it's not just about the doctors alone, but about even how the health system is delivered and what we should need to look at. And then any government that is what it, will now sit down and feel that, listen, if I want to have peace in the medical profession or in the medical field or in the medical environment, all I need to do is to install my candidate to become the National Resident Doctors. I have a tricky, sneaky feeling that something similar to that is going on, because how can you today say that, listen, we are going to press on with the strike, and then within 4 days you are being led to go and arrange for an agreement. Well, we've seen the submission of the strike. We hope that it allows everybody to move back a bit, and reassess and figure how to prevent the recurrence of the strike. But it will happen.
Yeah, and the doctors had always said, the striking doctors then had always said their greatest apprehension was that government had not given them a reason or cause to be hopeful that what you say you will do, you actually will do. And that's been a problem. They felt they weren't being taken seriously. If you say the kind of things that, that seem logical, and we say, okay, it's all right. Because you started off by saying that ordinarily, medical people, doctors in particular, are not supposed to go on strike. Because of that, apparently the doctors, paid a lot of understanding to that whole idea. But they said time and time again, their hopes have been dashed, and they've not made the kind of progress that they need to make. Now, we have this situation here. There are those who are saying that it does look a bit as if there are political tinges, but we just hope that we are not exactly in the same place, because after all, it needs to be said that it wasn't an overwhelming vote for. Yeah, there was a majority. It was a democratic process, so there was a majority. But it wasn't as if there was a 90% yay. Let us, return to work. So there still are some people who are not feeling good about it, but are just going to have to conform simply because.
And that's the worry, in the sense that, listen, you remember I've said here severally here that you cannot legislate, morality. Mm-hmm. You cannot legislate respect. You cannot say that, listen, I'm now making a rule for you to respect me. Okay? You cannot do that. Now, if you see, I haven't refused to engage the doctors who were striking meaningfully in terms of the negotiation and all the things that might have happened. The federal government went to industrial courts and obtained an order to say, okay, go back to work. And doctors felt that, listen, we're appealing this. That one is still hanging on that appeal. It has not been,
resolved yet.
Okay? It has not been vacated in a way. That appeal is hanging. Now, of course, it will just hang there because prosecution will not happen with the new ESCO.
Exactly.
Not likely.
But one moment, please, Doctor. Sorry to interrupt you, because Reverend Dominic has come in on the line. So let me hear. Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning, Dr. Tuyi. Good morning.
Good morning, Reverend.
Well, I'm calling you from Calabar now. I don't know why it's so easy to get you from Calabar. Well,
and you're sounding great. You're sounding so clear.
It's so clear. I'm in Calabar. A very serene atmosphere here. It's a happy moment, and it's also a time to reflect, and it's a time of also what we call a sad moment. For a nation like Nigeria Nigeria, a great nation, for the doctors to go on strike for almost 6 weeks, it's a sad story. Yori, put me online, put me on record. Is sure we're not going to come back to this, strike again, maybe 1 month or 2 months. If this government, the government you have known, not Buhari government, not Buhari government, this issue of this strike has been on since 1992. In 1992 they were on strike. The 2000 were still on the strike. Are you sure government will keep their own bargaining? Can we remove this shame from us? People cannot even put, highways, high sleepers and go to the moon. We pay our staff. Please, let doctor answer this question for me. What is political angle to it? What is politics in you hire somebody and you cannot pay him? And if you protest, what is political angle to it? Please, appeal to our government. They should pay our workers. It is this thing a government is supposed to do, to pay his own workers, so that we don't go on this strike again. Mm-hmm. Do you know how many people that have died? The doctors have gone back to work. We may pay them, we will not pay them. The life that is gone, we cannot bring it back.
Indeed.
This is a shame to our nation. We are going through insecurity. We are going through this. Please, let government keep their bargaining. I beg you. And let Dr. Tuyi answer me, what is politics over it? Over not paying that.
Well,
what politics over it?
Sure, Reverend. Thank you very much for calling in, Reverend. I mean, it's not as if Dr. Mebawoudu emphatically said that this is a political outcome, but he did say that, but let me put the very question you sort of posed. Let me put it to Dr. Omadeli Boyo, who has also joined us on the program. Good morning, Dr. Boyo. Thank you for making time for us. The whole question of whether or not there is a political aspect to this resolution, shall we call it, what would you say about that whole matter?
Yes, thank you for having me on. There's obviously a political dimension to it. No matter how much we try to call it, no matter how much we try to make it look like there's no political angle to it, there is a political angle to it. The first thing is the meeting that was held, the division within the reps that voted, the doctors that voted, the National Association of Resident Doctors, was split. And after 6 weeks, and their demands were not met, they had insisted that, look, we want this to be met. This is what we want, this is what we want, and things like that. And suddenly, they decided to go back to work. I'm happy to come back to work, and thank God the ordinary man on the street benefit from it. But it's obvious that some issues like backlog of salary, not paid 9 months' salaries. I thought the federal government would insist, look, we're going to clear the backlog within 48 hours and release some special vote for this, and immediately the backlog of salaries are cleared. But the backlog of the salaries were never cleared, and then the allowance for foreign training were not taken care of. And what we have seen now is suddenly a twist in the dimension. And this is what is painful. When the doctors go back to work, I'm happy to come back to work. But what can prevent future disasters like this is solutions that are tailor-made to meet them halfway down the road before they go back to work. So congratulations, Nigeria. The doctors are back to work. But the problem is, will this thing come up again? It will come up again. You can't owe people 9 months and expect to work happily. They're going to go back to work, yes, but don't go back to work with high stakes and don't go back to work putting in their best. I can guarantee you that. But that's not good enough. The doctors should go back to work high stakes. The government should be an encourager, and not this kind of shameful thing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Again, Dr. Mebawoudu, perhaps since Reverend Dominic, you had the word political, had sort of, you had used the words, and I guess you can speak for yourself, but it's when there was a change in administration that there seemed to be more of a kind of a way than had been available before.
Yes, because it has to be. I am not really insisting that the new admin should follow the pathway of the previous admin, because at the end of the day, as a new person, you are answerable to your own strategies. You are standing in a place. Now, of course, it won't be too unusual for you to figure out that, okay, the new admin is given a window for renegotiation, and also, okay, let us even give you a bit of chance. It's not unusual. But if you look at the precedent, how the thing followed, then you have to query why it should be like that. Let's face it, it used to be that in those days in Nigeria, two associations stood out clearly to confront any negative challenges in the nations. About three, National Association of Nigerian Students, you can remember very well, that those days when we go on strike, the whole country is paralyzed. When we go on protest, the whole country is paralyzed. Then you have the Nigerian Bar Association, very strong. You remember the likes of Alawa Kabasharon and what they stood for in trying to push for a good governance in Nigeria. And then you can remember the Nigerian Medical Associations, as represented by the likes of Bekor and Somkuti and Co., who were very emphatic on the direction of the nation. Of course, in reality, we've done quite a lot. But what has happened over the time was the complete emasculation of National Association of Nigerian Students in such a way that they are being sponsored by politicians. You see NAN's president now riding convoy of vehicles, which was actually strange to my understanding of National Association of Nigerian Students. The NBA tried to struggle, faltered. Then, before you know it, the whole thing was reduced to that if you are not a silk, you are not the silk, you don't become the NBA president. It was a concerning situation, because how do you become silk? It's a privilege. And as a privileged person, you cannot have a clear-cut idea of your own. They tried to figure out how to come back, but it's not the same again. Of course, the National the NMA became quiet, but NAD now stood firm to look at how to correct some, and then here we are now. We're going to see another full control of take it from me. I can tell you, we're going to see a full control of National Association of Residents, because they are now appearing constantly as a source of embarrassment to the government, and a solution must have to be found. Okay. The only way you can find a solution is to say, okay, listen, where does the leadership emerge? Can we then go ahead and ensure that we control the leadership? And I'll be quite surprised if this is not the case.
Ada in Jos, good morning and thank you for holding on.
Good morning, Mr. Yuri, and good morning to your guest, Ada from Jos. I received this resumption by the resident doctors with mixed feelings, in the sense that it is very, very embarrassing, honestly speaking, that they were on strike for 2 months, and I don't think anything tangible has been achieved from it. Even when I watched the journalist hangers, the president told us that some of the religious leaders had to come in. Can you imagine? And he was even praying that the federal government will not dash their hopes to the world, their integrity. So what am I saying here? If they are trying to politicize it, it's really going to be a big blow on us, I have never seen, I've been Googling to see any country that the doctors have been, no matter the category of doctors, been on strike for 2 months. I couldn't find any. If you find any, please let me know. You know that now the brain drain is continuing. Even as I talk to now, some of them are still living. So with this kind of gap there, I wonder what it will look like. And then my advice to the federal government is that let them treat this health sector from a holistic viewpoint. The other unions are warming up to start their own strike. It's usually a teamwork. So I don't know what is happening. That money they are borrowing, let's use it and settle this in once and for all. Nigerians will be happier for it if that is done. Look at the health center is in Kamatos. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
The doctors won't they be healthy before they can even see us? Let me tell you something. I know I'm poor, but nothing will make me to go and seek medication from them the way it is now. It's risky. You have to think straight before you can go and have medication from a doctor that is hungry. Can you imagine?
Wow.
All the same, let's not do about this country. It's really unfortunate.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Ada, for calling in. Dr. Boyo,
let me just corroborate before, in reality, because what you are trying to create is an environment that will further encourage the doctors to work hard and put in their best, okay? If you achieve that by, muscularism,
by hook or crook,
by muscularism, by bending, by pushing, by constricting, yes, they will go back to work. And the work, what kind of work are you going to expect?
Because that is what I wanted to bring to Dr.
The exit will continue.
Okay.
The efflux of doctors, migration of doctors will continue. They won't give their best when they are here, okay? And then at the end of the day, because the environment is still constricting, their mates are dead, they are not getting the insurance, you are still paying them 5,000 naira per month as added allowance. They are still owing them 6 months, 9 months salaries. you are not even considering the proper training mechanisms, and then you just want to achieve resumption. Nice, let's resume, it's good.
Okay.
Nice, at least. We'll see how it flows, how that will impact on the quality of healthcare.
Dr. Boyo, what are the positives then in the light of comments such as Ada made, that she is now a bit apprehensive? Say, look, when a person is, as it were, I don't know what the word is to use, because as some people are saying, we're happy that this is now behind us. And I think that was the objective of government, to get this vexatious strike. The doctors were at it for 62 days. It becomes something of an embarrassment to them. So, but what are the positives, if many, to this new aspect that we now have? The doctors have decided to call off the strike. By tomorrow, I understand, Wednesday tomorrow is when they actually will. Are they positive? Dr. Mebawoudu was just expressing that the exit of doctors might continue.
Yes, as positive. The first one is that the public now know that doctors are not paid, and that many doctors are being owed 9 months' salaries in many states of the country. The public now know that the training of doctors cannot be funded effectively by government. And so when doctors leave the country now knows that they are not leaving the country because they are greedy, they're leaving the country because there are no jobs. If you graduate from medical school today, it will take you like 6 months to get a placement as an intern, and the housemanship program is mandatory. There are many doctors who have left the country, and there's some who are here, they can't even practice because they've not done the housemanship. I have a doctor with me who has left 4 years, a relative, left university 4 years ago, has gotten no placement for housemanship 4 years, 2017, since leaving school. This is true life story. People should know that, yes, we need doctors in the public service, but there are doctors out there without jobs. These house officers are ready to be paid, even peanuts. Get them to work there. Get them to finish their training, their 1 year mandatory internship training, and you will not do that. So those are the issues that we have. So the positives there, people now know if they go back to work and they hear that doctors have still been paid, the public sympathy will shift from the government to the doctors, and there will be an outcry. And I think that is not good enough for the government. I think the government should face these things squarely in the face. These doctors have opportunities of earning $6,000 in Saudi Arabia, £4,000 in the UK, and you are giving them 250,000 naira here, and you are owing them 9 months in arrears, and you expect them to remain here. It's going to be very difficult. So I challenge the government to wake up to responsibilities. When the senators are earning 30 million naira a month, House of Reps 20 million naira a month, and a doctor 250,000 naira, they read all these things in the paper. So I think the positive is that the public outcry against the maltreatment of doctors will rise. The doctors have, at least as it were, he will fight and run away, lives to fight another day. They've fought, they've gone back to the trenches, and public will now say, at least they respected the government, they've gone back, respected the Industrial Arbitration Court. Let's see what the government will do. If the government doesn't do anything in the next 48 hours, I can assure you, remember, these resident doctors are postgraduate doctors in training. They are not just ordinary doctors, they are postgraduate doctors in training. And so the government should treat them well. This is what I call the positives. And again, they mentioned issues of the facilities within the hospitals. They've all run down. Generators are not working. CT scans machines are down. X-ray machines are down. And they're working. They use torchlights in some theaters in this country. There are no needles. There are no syringes. December 1983 to January 1st, 1984, Buhari said our hospitals are mere consulting clinics. Second term of being president, he has proven it again that hospitals are mere consulting clinics. I pray that the head of state will wake up and see that something will be done to change the situation. Thank you.
In fact, just looking at what a lot of people know, and look at the figures that Dr. Boyo quoted, you can make so much. If a Nigerian doctor that is being paid $250,000 naira here, which by the time you begin to get some sort of a sense of it, you just translate it into sterling or dollars and then compare it with what their colleagues can get elsewhere. One even begins to wonder, where the incentive is. It's not as if a medical degree is pure water. It's not as if it's something that you can obtain in 9 months. It's one of those courses that is extended in its application. So actually, that a person wants to become a doctor, there definitely has to be a calling there. A person is not necessarily looking at what's the most lucrative thing I can go and study. I don't know that that is always the case. And there used to be a time in this society, many, but in this society, when you were a ranking member of society for being a doctor. You know, any way you look at it, whatever the level of medical education that you have. So really, one begins to wonder, why are we? Dr. Boyo just put it well. Look at what an honorable member is getting.
Mm-hmm. What I can say exactly is this: the most positive aspect of a doctor's training is character. I've had a senior, very brilliant guy. I had a senior, a surgeon, who had the best price in surgery.
Okay.
I was compelled to do extra 3 months to learn how to dress like a doctor. So the character aspect of it, the nation should be reaping from that character aspect. And what are these things that is making us not to get all those character aspects of a medical doctor? Because in reality, when the colonial people were still here and they needed to go on, the Governor General of Nigeria needed to go on leave, he could only trust a medical doctor to superintend for him before he came back. Okay? And that was the kind of respect that doctors, used to have. But when you now push them to be striking because of 200,000, 300,000, it raises a lot of things because you are again rubbishing them, making them non-entity in a critical sector.
And it's not just about the money only.
It's not just about the money, because wait a minute, compensation mechanism for a doctor, I keep saying, even for any health worker that is so essential at that matter, needed not to be pecuniary. You put an insurance. Why are you not honoring that insurance? Can you provide accommodation for them? Can you make their working conditions so beautiful and nice? Can you ensure that some of those pressure points on them, school fees, cars, and all those things, you take it away from them through some collaboration in a way? These are very simple things.
Doctors have seen better times. Doctors have seen better times in this country. Doctors have seen better times in this country. Even journalists have seen far more better times. For that matter.
Yeah, for that matter. Everybody.
Mr. George, thank you very much for holding on. Go ahead now, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning.
Good morning to the doctor beside you.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Well, Uncle Yori, it is gladdening that the doctors have resumed work or about to resume work finally. But did I hear you well that the leadership of the Doctors Association had to be changed before this resolution was reached? Well, Uncle Yori, if you allow my views to play here, the whole episode degenerated because of the handling of the Minister of Labour. And if the country is trying to discourage brain drain, this method of dealing with people who treat sick people cannot work. They want something that can help the system to work better. You did everything to manipulate it in such a way as for the government to have its way at the detriment of the people that are seeking for good health in the country. Where are we going to get to with this? We are not going to go far with it. This is the reason why the doctors and the medical workers are flying away from the country.
Yeah.
Who suffers it? Those of us who don't have money to go abroad, who don't have millions to go abroad to go and treat malaria. And the truth must be told. If the president is refusing to fire his ministers, I can see that many of them just do what they like because it doesn't change them, doesn't punish them. The Minister of Labour should resign honorably.
Okay, Mr. George, thank you very much for calling in. But at this stage, I also need to tell you that the budget is being presented in the state of Osun, so our Nigerian viewers will take them over to that, but our viewers in the diaspora and the rest of the world will continue on this subject. And much later on, when the repeat broadcast of the program goes on, then the entirety of it on the doctors, the Medical Association of Resident Doctors, resuming from their strike, will be seen as a complete package. That's what we have in there. The worry, the concern that you have voiced, Dr. Boyo has voiced, and other people, how are we sure that there will be any joy in all of this? The fact is, we don't know. So we're hoping to be joined by the First Vice President of the National Association of Resident Doctors, Dr. Chima Edoga. He's joining us imminently. So we'll try and understand from him what exactly the thinking is. But in the meantime, the complaint of the last bunch, the last executives, was that we've given the benefit of doubt to doctors time and time again.
Government.
I mean, to government, time and time again. And look at where we are. They never keep to their word. There are people who have, complained. Mr. George, for example, he can't be a lone voice, who, are saying that the very methodology of the Minister of Labor, himself a medical doctor, to some of them, maybe they don't know enough about it, is why they say so. It leaves a lot to be desired. I mean, he actually, at one point, could appear to be saying, look, you people can go. If you can go, we can bring doctors in. It's like you are talking about the respect, and at least it doesn't look like there's a conversation going on. It's about, it's our way or no other way.
You see, as a point of functioning, let me look at the hierarchy of the doctors' functions. When you are the chief medical...
Sorry, let me just hear from Port Harcourt. Mr. Ibe has called in from Port Harcourt. Good morning, Ibe.
Hello?
Good morning. Thank you for calling in. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good morning. I want to contribute to the program on this morning.
Okay, on the doctors calling off the strike.
Hello, good morning, Uncle. Yes, please. I am interested in this conversation, really.
Go ahead, please.
The doctors calling off the strike is a welcome development. And I think the government should be very, very careful now to meet up the demands of the doctors. We wouldn't like to see any more strikes, because they have already, after 6 weeks, if the government did not do anything, that they will go back to the strike.
Okay.
And
I can don't worry. I can see you're being distracted by the echo. Please try and ignore it.
The Minister of Labor. Take very, very careful, but that is not the best way to negotiate issue. Let him not treat the doctors as if they are his child.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Ibe. Really appreciate your calling, and again to complain about the minister in charge of labor.
What I was saying is that at levels of doctors, there are levels of functioning. I mean, trying to have the requisite skills and capability to treat and deal with complications of diseases. But when you move to be a CMD, you enter the managerial level. You need a new set of skills in terms of how to aggregate people, manage people. When you now become a minister, you need higher of that skill: labor management, negotiation skill, managerial skill, how to bring people together and achieve set objectives. So what has happened, if you look at the way most of those ministers emerge, is in a way it's not that it's actually a political structure that brings them up. It's not that you have tested them in terms of managerial thing. Sometimes when we now say, because this man is a doctor, you should know better, we're actually putting a lot of pressure on them, okay, because it requires that kind of critical skill. And then
but he had a medical practice.
No, listen, I've gone to that extent of saying that, listen, part of the thing that is missing in medical curriculum is management and business courses. We have to incorporate management and business courses into medical doctors' curriculum. We can't just wake up and say, listen, it's anatomy, it's physiology, it's biochemistry. Because again, all those one will succumb to proper social science discourses. You know, because I tell you what, if you are the best scientist, you can turn this person alive. A single law that says that you can't do it will stop you.
I get what you're saying.
You know, so because at the end of the day, a doctor must be taught how to navigate society. It's not how to be restricted to his four walls of consulting room or hospital, you know. So if you learn how to navigate society, even at the point of leadership, or maybe National Association of Resident Doctors or anywhere, you figure out how do we get the best result out of all these things.
Okay.
Those skills will be quite useful going forward if you want to train doctors.
Now, Dr. Boyo, I wanted to bring that point to you to air, you know, aspects of it. I said, you know, the Minister of Labor happens to be a medical doctor as well. And so a lot of people have said that they're quite surprised at the way he's handling this whole issue. But Dr. Mebawoudu was just explaining there that there's a bit more to it. Give me your thought on this whole matter, that because the way Dr. Chris Ngige, who is a medical doctor, although he's not functioning as a medical doctor now, he's not the Minister of Health. Give me your thoughts on this whole idea.
Yes, Dr. Chris Ngige had been governor. We know what happened in Anambra State when he was governor. Just like how you have lawyers, and you have doctors, and you have those doctors who are concerned about medical practice. He came in as a former governor and a former senator, not because he was a doctor. He's in labor and productivity as a politician. Now, Dr. Chris Ngige is first and foremost a politician. His own job is to dance to the tune of his masters. He has not been very equivocal in support of delivery of healthcare, because he practiced medicine, he is a doctor, but that ability to go around the doctors, understand what their feelings are, and get results for them. His desire is to get them back to work and not to get the hospitals back to function. Like I told you before, one doctor once said that there are too many doctors in Nigeria. Is that true? No. Now, is it not funny that the federal government spends money tuition free? Medical institution in Nigeria is tuition free, and doctors are sent to university on the scholarship of government. They pay for accommodation, they pay for other things. But then at the end of the day, Saudi Arabia comes here and takes the doctors and gives them $6,000. The UK comes here and takes the doctors and gives them $4,000 with accommodation, possibility of becoming a citizen in 5 years, and their wives can get a job. They fly into London with their children, they get a job, the children get into free schools, and you get £4,000 a month, and then you are here, you've not gotten your salary for the last 9 months. And Dr. Ngige sits down there and says they should go to work. He has never said on television, one day we are going to pay these things in 48 hours. Clear all the salaries, clear the things they are talking about, training, the funding for training, get them done. These doctors are sons. I've done 40 years in practice. My son is going to 40. So one of these associate resident doctors are the level of my own children. Now, how would I like it to have a son that has not been paid for 9 months? How would I like it to have a son that works in a hospital where there's no light, there's no water, rats cross the wards, and nobody talks? And you go to the National Assembly and renovate the National Assembly with 300 billion or whatever it is, and you're paying a senator 30 million naira a month, and these young men and women who are trained as doctors can see these things. A senator is earning 30 million naira, and I went to school for 7 years medical school, 1 year house job, 8 years training as a resident doctor, 16 years. I come out, you give me 250,000, 400,000, and you owe me 9 months.
Okay, Dr. Boyo, let me pause now. I beg your pardon, Dr. Boyo. Thank you very much, sir. Let me pause now and hear from the first vice president, that's in the new executive of the National Association of Resident Doctors. The first vice president is Dr. Chimo Edoga. Thank you, Dr. Edoga, for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. Give us an understanding of the thought process that led to the cessation of this action come tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much. we have been on this strike action embarked on since the 2nd of August of this year, and we have not made full, we have not gotten full, our full demands. However, we evaluated the whole processes. We considered what the President of Nigeria said, we considered what the Vice President of Nigeria said, the Speaker of the House, very well-meaning Nigerians, and also what our members are saying. We said, okay, if the federal government is asking us to give them more time to get some of these demands completely met, let's shift ground a little bit out of our own goodwill to show Nigerians that doctors are not strike mongers. However, there are a lot of things that have not been met, but we decided to show another level of goodwill, because a doctor is not happy when he's at home, even though many of us have not been paid what is due to us. So we considered everything that has come on, and then we decided to give government a little bit more time to implement what they are assigned with us.
I'm going to stay with you, Dr. Edoga. If you can hear me, it's okay. We'll go with the voice. We've heard what you've explained, that if government needs a bit more time, okay, we can do that. Is there anything at all that the association, on behalf of resident doctors, was able to get? Because what I heard you saying there was that, there's a lot that hasn't actually been done yet, but that you didn't want to go on indefinitely. Is there anything at all that the association can say, well, at least this, even though it's nowhere near enough, has been obtained?
Okay, if you read the communique that was released by the NAT president yesterday, you could see some of the things that we have achieved. On the issue of the bench fee, we have been able to get it to be abolished. Then for the house officers that were being owed, many of them have been paid, even though some are still being owed. Then the circular on the house, removing the house officers and the NYSC doctors from the scheme of service, the process of the withdrawal of the circular has already commenced. By the grace of God, by November, it will be fully removed. Then the issue of capturing of our members that are on the GIFMIS platform, it has actually commenced. So what is remaining now is for all the centers that are affected, for all our members to be captured and their salary arrears paid. Then the issue of the medical residency training fund, when we came on board, we held a high-level meeting with the Minister for Labour and then the Minister for Health in association with the President of the Nigerian Medical Association, and we agreed that the medical residency training fund for 2021 should commence. And as at Thursday, it commenced, even though it's commenced in trickles. The statistics we have now is just less than 2 to 3% of our members have received it, and we believe that before the end of this week, that MRTF will be concluded. So these are just a few things that the government have done. Is like just scratching the surface, and we believe that the time that we are giving the government, they should be able to get all those done. Then for the states, it's actually very pathetic that the states issue is, has not been considerably touched. Even have some states that have done well, like Delta State. The governor of Delta State has actually done well, and at a point he felt that if he has done everything that resident doctors were asking for Delta State, why are Delta State residents going on strike? But this is unionism. We have to fight for our members that cannot fight for themselves. Can you imagine a medical doctor being owed for between 8 months and 20 months? If we don't fight for them, then who is going to fight for them? So, but what we are doing now is give a final opportunity for the federal government to get all these things resolved, so that we don't have to resort to the issue of strike action, because the next strike action may end up destroying the health sector of Nigeria.
Exactly. And in talking about that particular point, because what you've spoken about now, I can appreciate all of that. But I was saying earlier in the program before you joined us that it's not all about monies owed the doctors, important as that is. There's also the fact that, look, a doctor needs certain a sort of wherewithal, a certain infrastructure, equipment to be able to give the best of his training and be as effective as he can be. And doctors have complained in the past that that is very, very difficult when a doctor, it's as good as a workman is as good as his tools. That is a much larger picture. Are you still keeping that in view, Doctor?
Yes, in the constitution of the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, we have aims and objectives. The very first aim is to take care of the welfare of our members. Then when you go down the line in the aims and objectives, we're also interested in the health sector of Nigeria. But you have to have a doctor that is well taken care of before we can move to the next item on the aims and objective. The primary objective of our association is to ensure that the human resource for health is taken care of. You can have the infrastructure, you can have the equipment, but when you don't have the medical doctors to be there, then it's an effort in futility. So if the government can do and ensure welfare of doctors is taken care of, then we will now look into the decay that is going on in our health system across the primary healthcare level, secondary healthcare level, and tertiary health care level. One thing that the government needs to appreciate is that resident doctors have capacity to not only deliver healthcare at the tertiary health level. If we are taken care of and we have adequate number of human resource at our own level, we can also go down and strengthen the secondary and the primary healthcare levels. There is a crisis in Nigeria. That crisis is a human resource crisis. Both medical doctors, nurses, medical scientists, pharmacists. So we cannot afford to be treating our human resource for health with levity. We are the goose that lay the golden eggs. If the goose is not there, there won't be any golden egg to lay. So what we are saying is take care of the doctors, ensure that we are not living, find out what is making us to live, curb it, and then we'll now work with you to strengthen the health sector of the country.
Okay, so but in the interim, so to speak, the Association of Resident Doctors, their members will be back to work from tomorrow.
Yes.
That's the agreement.
Yes, we'll be back to work from tomorrow, and we're going to work wholeheartedly. We are going to put in all our hearts. And mind you, some of these doctors that are coming back to work have not been paid for 8 months. You know, they have every reason to be psychologically down, mentally down. But we have looked at all the situation. We have considered the plight of Nigerians. We have considered the intervention of the President of Nigeria, the Vice President, and all the other well-meaning Nigerians, including those that are in the religious sector, both in the Sultan. So many people have been calling on us. So we want to give this last opportunity. Let's have a holistic take on this matter. As we are solving this issue of human resource, let us also look critically at the issue of our own hospitals.
Okay.
We have several things that need to be done. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Chima Edoga, first Vice President, National Association of Resident Doctors, whose members across the nation will be fully back in the wards from tomorrow with the stethoscopes around the neck, and generally we begin to get the idea that you know, the doctors are back. Dr. Boyo, I want to thank you for, you know, making time for us this morning. This is where we have it. There's still a lot of work to be done, but the doctors themselves are saying that they are the first people that are aware of that, but that they decided that, look, this can't go on forever, and you probably identify with their position, right? Dr. Boyo? Okay. Oh, we've lost.
Yes. No, I'm here. I'm here. Yes, identify with their position, and like we said earlier on, we really hope that this position can be sustainable. And the only way it can be sustainable, like the young doctor said, is don't let these children down. Exactly. These resident doctors are the consultants of tomorrow, they're the professors of tomorrow, they're the ministers of health of tomorrow. If they lose faith in this country, they are going to leave this country. Well, we must encourage them to stay by making sure that they have all the tools they need and they get their salaries on time.
Thank you very much, Dr. Boyo. Really appreciate your joining us. Thank you very much. And as I said earlier, I had thanked Dr. Chima Edoga earlier. Dr. Mebawoudu, we will manage it.
I'll just say there's a glimmer of hope and a little light. What we need to do is to allow this light to expand and shine further on. My great worry is the tactics of the government. It boils down to a kind of bullying, you know, honestly. So I hope we'll listen.
As Dr. Doga was saying, all members of society spoke on the matter.
Listen, we've been speaking all over time. What I want to say is that I hope sincerely, mark my word, I hope sincerely we'll learn from this.
Okay, we've got to leave it there.
Between 2000 and this time, we've had a cumulative 9 months of strike of health workers.
Wow.
Consistently.
9 months.
9 months if you add them to. So it's not going to just disappear.
So hope we don't fritter this particular chance away.
We now maximize this opportunity.
Dr. Mebawoudu, thank you very much. Dr. Tuyi Mebawoudu, public health consultant. We also thank Dr. Omadeli Boyo, and indeed our thanks to Dr. Chima Edoga, first Vice President of NAD, that came on the program. That's our program today. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.